Hi, it's Mike again, and thanks for following these videos on how to code with HTML. So what have we learned so far? We learned on the very first video how to write HTML syntax, and then we went on to creating headings, paragraphs, lists, links, images, tables. So I reckon we've got enough knowledge now to create the content for our first web page, but how do we structure it? Well, the objectives in this video is to recognize semantic markup, and that is code that means something. And then we're going to structure a web page with some coding. So the structure of a web page with HTML5, which came in around about 2008, it's basically everything we need on a website. So navigation is the nav and closing nav tags. Then the header, there should only be one, and this is going to contain our H1 tag, maybe an H2, but yeah, that depends on the website you're creating. So header tag, and then the main body should have main, and then the closing closing tag. Okay, and in the main area, we're going to have articles and sections. So what's the difference between articles and sections? Articles could be standalone articles in themselves. So effectively it could be a blog post, it could be a news story, and so on. Whereas a section is an area of related information. So effectively you could have articles within sections. Moreover, you could have sections within articles. And then at the bottom of the page, you would have a footer tag. Now at the bottom I've mentioned divisions, and I've grayed it out. Not that it's not used anymore. Divisions are used quite a lot, but divisions aren't semantic. Now, what does all this mean, this semantic thing? Well, it's about assistive technologies. So for people that use screen readers rather than the main browser and so on. So if we structure our page with navigation, header, main, articles, sections, footer, then those assistive technologies will work a treat. So let's have a look at some real world examples. First is the BBC website. Along the top here, you can see they've got a navigation area, so they will be using the nav tag and closing tag. Underneath, there's effectively a welcome to the BBC, and I bet you, without looking at the background code, then that will be their header tag and header closing tag, with probably most likely an H1 tag and then the date. So below that, you can see different effectively stories. And these are probably articles, and I don't think they'll be using a section because these articles are not related to each other apart from being headlines. So let's have a look at another website. I've gone to vogue.com purely to be international, and just like the BBC, right at the top they've got a whole bunch of links, so that'll be a nav tag and nav closing tag, and then directly underneath that where it says magazine, this is probably a header area with H1 with magazine, and then below that you'll have sections and articles as required. And lastly, let's have a look at, I'm going international now, looking at the New York Times. It seems to me that right at the top where it says the New York Times, that'll be a header area, and with the New York Times as an H1, and then below that you can see an array of links, and each one of those will be in their nav opening and closing tags. And underneath, just like the BBC, they've probably got sections and definitely using articles for each of the news stories. So there we go. Those are the examples. As usual, on the left-hand side is my text editor. I'm using Text Wrangler right now. I find it really important to use the basic text editors initially when we're learning to code, so that we can learn from our mistakes and find bugs quite easily, and also learn how to do the typing before we go on to any sort of posh text editors that does half the typing for you. And on the right hand side you can see the blank web page, except from, look at the in the sort of tab at the top here where my arrow is, you can see structure of HTML. Where is that coming from? Well, one thing I haven't shown you right now is the title tag, which goes in the head tag, and effectively that's telling users what the page is all about, and it's quite important for the search engines too. Anyway, let's do some coding, and we're going to start out just like the Vogue and BBC web pages. Let's go for a nav tag first. Okay, whoops, and there we go. So there's a nav tag, and bearing in mind the navigation is generally they're sort of links. So what we'll do is create a link, and we've seen this before in the previous video. So we're using an anchor tag, the A tag. I'll just put link 1, and I'm just going to put a hashtag in there because that doesn't mean a great deal, because the link isn't going to go anywhere right now. And I'm just going to create 2 more links and call them link 2 and 3. So that's our navigation area using the nav tag. And then don't forget what the Vogue magazine and BBC did was put their header area next. And within the header area, they probably used H1, and I've explained previously why H1 is important, and it's so important for the search engine optimization. I'll just put this is my main heading. Okay, so thinking back, what comes next? So we've got nav first, then header. We can have header first, then nav, that's fine. What we're going to do now, this is our main section of the web page. So a main tag, and then I'm just going to create some space here, and let's say we want an article tag next, because I've got a great article for users to read. And within article, yeah, this deserves a heading, so I'm going to put an H2 to introduce the article. And then I want some content, so I'm going to create a P tag, and then I've got the P tag wrong. Right at the bottom here, I've just copied and pasted some Latin text, and I'm just going to copy that and pop it in the P tag, so that when we actually refresh the browser, it looks like something on the web page. So that's article 1. And what I'm going to do is create another article, because the web page would look a bit blank if there was nothing on it. So my second article here, and what I'm just going to do, just going to be lazy, whoopsie-daisy, I'm going to copy and paste the first article, okay, and put it in the second one, and article number 2 intro. Just to show you what it looks like on the screen. So we've got our 2 article tags. Okay, so you remember from what I was saying, articles and sections, I think they are interchangeable, but let's assume these 2 articles are related. So what we could do is put both of these into a section. So section opening tag at the very beginning, and then a section closing tag at the end. So let's just create some space just to show you what we've done here. Right, so we've got the main, we have a section of related articles, of which we have 2. Right at the bottom of the page, we want to create a footer. Now, normally in footers, businesses have their contact details and other such information with reference to their business or web page. So I'm just going to create, I'm just going to create a little paragraph tag and put a copyright symbol in here. Now, the copyright symbol is one of those special characters. So ampersand, then copy, and then semicolon. And I'm going to write 2020 here. So that's probably the year you'll be looking at this. So if I hit save now, there's one thing that I've missed out, and that's the aside tag. Now the aside tag could have random information about whatever. Okay, so I'm going to create an aside and close the aside, and within here I'm just going to put a paragraph tag and put in this is other information. Okay, so we've used each of the HTML5 semantic elements now. Let's just refresh. Let's get, there's nav, there's header, then there's main with everything in it. Main has got one section, and the section has got 2 articles. And we come down, we've closed the article, we've closed the section, and now we've created an aside which has random information as required for your website. Then I've closed the main, opened a footer, and closed the footer. So let's see what's happened. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to click refresh. And here we go. We can see 3 links in the navigation area. We've got the main heading. We can't see sort of section because sort of that's hidden. However, the section area has got 2 articles. Then down here, with this is the other information, this is an aside, and then below that we've got the footer area. Now, sort of looking at it right now, and I can just go a bit big for you. So it doesn't look very pretty right now, does it? It looks pretty old-fashioned. It's got Times New Roman probably font, but what it does show is where the headings are and where the text is. So the so what is in the future we'll come on to cascading style sheets, and we'll be able to make it look pretty with creating different fonts and different colors and different sort of borders and so on and so forth. But that's for a future video. So let's go back to the learning objectives of this short video, and it was to recognize the semantic markup tags for HTML5. Drop the 5 is just HTML these days. So navigation is nav and closing nav. Header is header, main is main. Aside, which is the one for sort of random other information, is aside, closing tag aside. The articles and sections can be mixed up. Article is for effectively standalone information that could stand alone on its own. And then sections is for related information on your web page. Now, you don't have to have sections. I would advise having articles and definitely a footer area to close off your web page. So I think that's it for this video. We've learned quite a lot. I know the web pages don't look pretty, but that's where CSS comes in that we'll be learning later on. Thanks for watching.